Real quick, before we get into the video, I have to mention that I had a bit of an issue with my recording of the video. I was able to salvage it, but unfortunately the audio wasn't great throughout it, but still, it's listenable, you can hear it and everything. It's just not as clear as usually it is. So, just wanted to give you an explanation as to why that is. Anyway, let's get into the video. Alright, let's talk about some of Nick Sirianni's decisions he made. A lot of criticism has been thrown at the Eagles and specifically at Nick Sirianni for some of his fourth down decision-making and two-point attempt decision-making. If you missed the game, they went for it on two different fourth downs already in field goal range, missed both of those. Also went for two on three different occasions, missed all three of those. So, 9 points left on the board could have been a comfortable victory instead of a tight victory. Still a victory, but even after a win and the Eagles being 6-2, Sirianni getting a lot of criticism. So I figured, hey, just because you made decisions that didn't work out doesn't mean you made the wrong decisions, right? We all, I think, can accept that sometimes you can make the correct call and have it just go wrong. So I figured, let's go through each decision and talk about if this was smart or if this was stupid. First, the one you see on the screen, this is a two-point attempt with 22 seconds left in the half. So you see that the Eagles are at the 1 yard line. There was a penalty that allows them to try, attempt to try at the 1 yard line. You see teams do this pretty frequently. If you're confused as to why, I created a chart that can hopefully be helpful. So we're going to go through three different odds on this play. There is the 1 point attempt odds, the 2 point attempt odds, and then the tush push odds, which is the play that the Eagles will be running on this one. Those are the percentages that each play has of working. So you see that the 1 point attempt has a 94% chance of working. A 2 point attempt from the 1 yard line has a 70% chance of working. Worth noting, from the 2 yard line, only about a 50% chance of working. Actually a little higher now. Teams have gotten better at 2 point attempts, but it's usually where it's been for most of NFL history. It's around 50%. And then the tush push odds is all the way up at 90%. So the logic is pretty, solid here, right? I mean, the tush push has about the same odds of just going for a field goal and taking the 1 point anyway, so you might as well just try for two, is I'm sure Nick Sirianni's logic here. If you look at the expected points for each of these scenarios, for each of these attempts, the expected points for going for one is slightly under 1 point. Although in this case, it actually was exactly 1 point because the Eagles kicked the extra point. That's when the penalty was, so they took the 1 point off the board. But still, it's 1 point there. The 2 point attempt is 1.4 expected points, and the tush push odds gives you a 1.8 expected points. So you're talking about nearly double the expected points if you go for the tush push here. However, this time it doesn't work out. So, games aren't won on a spreadsheet. Games are won on the football field. The Jaguars are able to make a play and make the odds go in their favor. So you got to give them credit. And I think you can maybe make an argument that this should have factored into a later decision. So here, now in the third quarter, the Eagles, who are now up 22 points, trying to go up 24 points, had a similar situation. This time the penalty was after the touchdown, so there was no, already given 1 point. But the math still follows. I think the one thing you could argue is, hey, Jacksonville stopped the tush push already. Should you still be going for it again? Is probably a fair, question, but I still think the math and the numbers suggest, going for it makes sense. Even if you don't love your, odds of getting to 1 yard, even if you don't think you're a great team at that, you're still probably good enough that it's worth it, in my opinion. As you see here, the Eagles don't get it. And I would also say the Eagles usually are pretty good at this stuff. Like, this is an uncharacteristic, not getting it done play. Maybe Jacksonville knows something. I don't know. But I think it's, you could maybe say they should have switched it up, but I don't really have an issue with these two. I know people are going to criticize it, but I think it was fine. And also, this one was just hilarious to me, where what happened was, so the situation itself, the Eagles are currently down 12 points with 7 minutes and 43 seconds left in the game, and the crowd is booing that they're going for two now, which, they're booing the whole situation. They're not booing this one specific attempt. But in this attempt, it actually makes perfect sense to be going for two, right? You want to go up a clean 14. It would be a horrible decision to kick the extra point. You're going to see Hurts takes the snap, runs the play action. Again, you could argue the concept maybe isn't great because now you see, it completely got blown up, and now Hurts just has to try and figure out a way to make something happen. That is what he does. Well, he tries to make something happen, doesn't actually convert. Came pretty close, actually. Smith nearly made the play. Wasn't quite able to, though. Flag was on the offense, so the Eagles are not able to convert there. Again, would have loved to have the extra 3 points on those plays, but in a vacuum, I don't really hate either of the decisions. I really don't. Now let's talk some fourth down decision making, starting off with this one. So it's a 4th down and 3. The Eagles are in field goal range, could just take the 3 here and go up 13 points, but instead they're going for it. Well, what do analytics say, right? You know how I like to look at analytics. The analytics actually suggest field goal attempt, which isn't usually what happens when we look at analytics, right? Usually they are in favor of going for it. But no, in this case, they kind of say it's very close to a toss-up. In fact, it's not even a full 1 win percentage point to go for the field goal attempt. But yeah, they do say field goal attempt. Makes a little bit more sense here, given the situation, given that they're already up, factoring all that stuff in. So Sirianni, again, maybe he just likes a 4th down and 3 play. On this one, though, I hope they didn't just like this play because it did not work out at all. I guess you shouldn't say that. There was maybe a bit of a window, but Hurts' throw was behind. That is always a part of this stuff, right? Is like, no one complains when Dan Campbell does this because usually when Dan Campbell does this, they convert on 4 out of 5 of them, right? Some people still complain, but you know what I mean. Most people are fine with it until it's the NFC Championship game and they miss a couple and then everyone complains. So probably not the one I would have done here. I'm not going to be as critical as others would have been, but if you're asking my opinion, this is one I think I would disagree with for Sirianni. I probably would have taken the 3 points there. This one later on, it's going to be a 4th down and inches play. So again, very close to being able to convert. And worth mentioning, the Jaguars have gotten back in this game. It's a 6-point game right here. Analytics actually do slightly suggest to go for it, and worth mentioning, analytics can only do, at least this 4th down decision bot, can only do a 4th down and 1. It can't calculate like 4th and inches. There's no difference there, so it's taking all 4th and 1s into account. It basically says no difference. I mean, it's 0.2% win percentage points to go for it. It's essentially a toss-up. Again, for me, I kind of just like going for the field goal to go up a clean 2 scores. I understand the reason why sometimes analytics and people disagree is often because I think people probably put too much stock into going up scores. At the end of the day, there is still so much football left. Like, yes, going up 2 scores is better than being up 1 score, but being up, an extra 7 points is still a lot better than being up an extra 3 points, right? That's an issue. But again, it's 4th and inches. I also think that, while I would have kicked the field goal, they still have to be able to convert a 4th and inches play. Instead, you're going to see kind of more of the same, where they're going to run this play action type play because push keeps getting stopped. So, okay, sure, I understand the logic there. Try to make something happen, but you look at Jalen Hurts here, and again, it's not working. I mean, these plays aren't working. So, at a certain point, if you can't convert these short yardage plays, then you have to stop going for it. I think that's where some Eagles fans were getting frustrated. As you see here, again, Hurts does his best, kind of just fires one blindly, hopes for the best, but there was no one in the area, so that's unfortunate as they end up getting, incomplete pass there, aren't able to convert. But there was also one more decision that I didn't really see many people talk about, but I thought it was worth talking about as well. This situation, so the Eagles are currently up 5 points. It's a 4th down and 4 with 2 minutes and 16 seconds left. And me trying to just think about this before I looked at the analytics, I was like, this sucks for Nick Sirianni, right? He's already getting crushed, and then all of a sudden now you have this situation where he has a tough decision. Well, what do analytics say? It's actually pretty crazy. You look at the decision bot here and you see that it's roughly about the same for whatever decision you make. Whether you go for a field goal, go for it, or punt, it's essentially a toss-up. So in this scenario, what do you think makes the most sense? I mean, your kicker can make tough kicks. I don't think it's crazy to try a 57-yard field goal here. I really don't. I think it's fine. Going up 8 points does help you a significant amount. Being in position where now, even if you give up a touchdown, you have a chance to go for, they have to go for 2 to tie it, and then they just tie it. You have a chance in overtime. Gives you a lot more options. Of course, going for it on 4th down, if you convert, then you, win the game, but what, do you really believe they're going to convert a 4th and 4 given how they're playing? You could punt as well, but I might as well try to field goal. I get it. Unfortunately, For the Eagles, it does end up missing, but hey, they were able to survive anyway. So, yeah, I mean, my thoughts on Nick Sirianni are, I think it is getting a bit overblown. I don't think this was that bad, but at the same time, like, your job is to get results. Sure, you can't just be results-oriented, but the results do have to matter at a certain point as well. And right now, I mean, you can't have too many games with results like this. At the same time, I mean, I don't know. The crowd booing him when he's making, like, a obviously correct decision to go for 2. I didn't think, I mean, it's just funny. It's what Philly does. I get it. But I think that he has to still be himself. He has to still be willing to go for it on, 4th down and on these 2-point attempts at times, even if you think it's gotten a bit crazy in this game. That's kind of how I view all this. But yeah, those are my extended thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.